Hi, this is Ms. Gonzalez, and today I'm going to go over some of the lessons in Unit 11. To start off, I'm going to go over some of the guided practice questions in 11.1, which is a review on fractions. Number 1 says, write the unit fraction that represents each part of the whole. Now, it mentions unit fraction, and unit fraction means one part of the whole. Unit means one. And so when I count these, I count 1, 2, 3. But this section right here represents one part out of the 3 that is the whole. So this is 1/3, this one's 1/3 of the whole, and this one's 1/3 of the whole. So my first question is now answered. They asked me to write the unit fractions, and I wrote them inside there. Number 2 says, how many 1/3 parts are blue? This time they're only looking for the blue parts, and they're asking how many of the 1/3 parts. So to do that, I checked my fraction again, and I noticed there's 2 pieces. So we use addition to find the answer. 1/3 plus 1/3 equals, so it's 2 1/3 for the blue. And number 3 asks, what fraction of the whole is blue? Well, now that I have the 2 sections here, now I could find the answer. If I add the units on the top, 1 plus 1, I get 2. And the denominator remains the same. 2 parts out of the 3, 2 units. So my answer for number 3 is 2/3. Number 4 says, what fraction names all the parts of the whole? This time it's asking for all the parts. It didn't ask for yellow and it didn't ask for blue. So I'm going to do the same thing I did on question 2, but this time with all the parts. 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. When I add the units on the top, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, that equals 3. And the denominator remains the same. But 3 divided into 3 equals 1 whole, which is the answer to question number 4. For the rest of the problems, do not forget to work on these. This one, you're going to have to go back to the beginning of the unit and take a look at box A. At the bottom, you're going to ask you to write in the unit fractions again. Right here it says, write the unit fractions. So don't forget that when you're working on the problems down here, that you write in the unit fractions. Like number 8, I see 2 pieces of the whole. So the yellow represents 1/2 and the blue represents 1/2. Now don't forget that on the ones that only have 2 parts, you cannot add up unit fractions. However, questions like number 10, where you have 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4, you can add up because you have more than one. And the directions say write the number of blue parts and the fraction of the whole that is blue. So for instance, on number 10, this one right here, we're going to go ahead and write the blue part. So 1/4 plus 1/4, because there's only 2 parts. Then you can add those up. 1 plus 1 equals 2. And the denominator remains the same. So the answer for number 10 would be 2/4. But remember, use your addition to find the answer. I'm going to go over the guided practice portion of 11.2. Now this one looks a little different than the one we just did, but it is the same idea. They're asking you again to write in the unit fractions that represent these counters. And again, it says that right here. For instance, on number 1, because these circles are way too small for you to write in the information in there, you can write the information either above or below the circles. I'm going to go ahead and write it right here. This represents 1/2. And this represents 1/2. And it says, then write the fraction of the counters that are red. Well, if I look carefully here, I only see that 1/2 is red. So that answer is going to equal to 1/2. This next one's a little different. This one has more red pieces. And so in this one, we are going to use addition to find our answer. This is 1/2. Oh, sorry, there's 6 pieces. Count the whole. That's the first step. Okay, and when I do that, I notice that 3 parts are red because again, it's asking us to find the red part. So when I do that, I can work out the problem right here, right next to it. I see 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6, and that equals to 3/6. Again, you add up the units on the top and the denominator remains the same. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3. So that's why that one's 3/6. Now this next one says, in 3, use the counter or draw a picture to show a given fraction. Now we don't have counters at home, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw them myself. And if you have crayons, you can color them in yourself. So this one's saying that the whole is 3. So I have to make sure that I have 3 circles to represent my counters. 1, 2, 3. In class, when we did not have crayons available or color pencils, we often labeled these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to label these, and it says it had 2 out of 3. So I'm going to put R for red, like this, and the Y for the yellow. So now I have shown 2/3 of the counters showing the red on this problem here. Now, when you go over to the bottom, you're going to do the same thing that you did here. And again, if it only has 1 unit that is shaded, you cannot make a unit fraction problem. For instance, if you look carefully on number 8, it only has 1 red. So you cannot make a problem with that. You can make a problem for number 7 and for number 6, but again, not for number 8. And be careful with words like not. In the problem before that, it mentioned that they wanted you to find the red ones. But on number 4, notice it says which ones are not red. So make sure that you're careful with words like that.